Hi there, and welcome to this new bonus lesson for Volume 2. In this lesson we will build something really interesting, and that is water drops on this can. Prior to that I will explain what we have in the scene. We have a simple area light, which is high calibrated, and we have a sky object with a HDRI material, but with compositing tag, so it's not seen by a camera, and everything else is checked. We also have a default 242 material with which we calibrated this scene, and that's it. And if we render this now, you see that this is not interesting at all, and it looks dull, and it's really boring. So firstly, let's build some can materials. I will disable this preview render and create a new material. We'll rename it aluminum or aluminium, whatever you want. Turn off this specular value and color value, and I will just leave reflection. Let me apply that material to my can like this. And if you're wondering why you cannot see anything in the viewport, that is because I have this use layer color checked here. So if I uncheck that, I will get a black representation of my can since the color channel is empty. And I really don't like it, so I just activate this layer color so I'm able to see the geometry and the composition of the object. Let's do a test render of our object and see where we are at. As you can see, we are having some reflections from our sky object, and I want to blur this, let's say 20%, for starters, and see where we are at with our object. It's coming along nicely. It really looks like some sort of aluminum material. The only issue I have is this part is a little bit too bright, so let me tune this down to, let's say, 50%, see if it becomes better. Yes, that's it. I'll copy this material and use another color value here, maybe say this one. I will apply that orangey aluminum just to this part of the can. So let's do just that and play with the values a bit until we get something decent. It doesn't have to be perfect, this is just a demonstration scene. Let's do a test render here and see where we are at. Maybe I'll boost this to 100% and find something that pleases me. It can be something completely different for you, and I will rename this colored. I think I will just increase this blurriness just a bit. Let's try 25%. Give it some time to render, and it will appear a little more uneven in surface. I'm pretty satisfied with this, so we can continue. And now comes the difficult part. I've seen so many different setups of how to get water drops of various random size on the can or bottles, and some of those setups are really unnecessarily complex. The first condition I have to meet is to create the actual water drop, and I will create just a single sphere. I won't make it editable, because then I will probably lose some of the flexibility. Now I will just temporarily disable the can from the editor view, and I will scale this to a somewhat normal size for a water drop, let's say 1 radius. See, if that is too much, maybe even a little bit more. Let's try 0.5, and we will reduce the number of segments. Let's try with 10, okay? Because 24 is really way too much information for such a small surface. Now I will enable my can again, and what I want to do, I want to clone randomly that sphere. We will call it water drop. I want to clone it randomly on the surface of this scan, so I will use a motor cloner, and I will hold my Alt key down so it will become a parent of that water drop. Since we want to clone on this scan object, we will select here object mode, and of course drag our object here, and this is what we get. You can see that those little drops are cloned on vertices, and the reason for it is this setting. And if I put this to edge, I will get a different result. Or if I put to polygon center, I will get a different result. You can see they are cloned in the center of the polygon. The best mode for this job is this surface, and it will randomly clone those water drops on the surface. So you have to increase the count. Let's say maximum is 100, and you can go over this value. Let's even try 200. Something like this could work. You can put any other number you like. It doesn't have to be this one. Just search for the number that really suits you, that really pleases you. This is seed settings, is randomization settings. If I play a bit with this, I will get every time different results. The clones will be distributed differently. Just for the sake of tutorial, we'll leave it at 10,000, like this. Let's do a test render and see where we are at. Already see some progress. We will create a material, a classic standard water material for our water drops. So let's rename it water and open it up, disable color and spectral, and I will just enable transparency. And if you remember, the standard reflection value for water is 1.52. Actually, it's 1.30 something, but this is a value for refracted glass, and it will probably be a little bit more realistic. So let's close this and apply that water material to our water drop and do a test render and see where we are at. And it's coming along nicely. What I can conclude now from this render is next. First, I can obviously see that these water drops are not random. They are exactly the same size and the shape. That is the first thing we will change. And we will change that by adding a random effector. Drag this random effector in this field. You can see something happened. And what happened is that these clones shifted their position by 50 centimeters. If we uncheck this position, because we don't want to transform the position, we actually want to transform the scale. Here I want to enable this scale option. And since I will use, let's say, uniform scale, so I don't want to scale them on each axis individually, I want to scale them uniformly. I will check this and I will get just a single one. Here, if I enter 1, that will mean that the maximum size of the sphere can be double of the origin. And this looks pretty decent to me, so I will leave this as it is and do a test render. I'm almost always rendering without shadows because it's much quicker to see what is going on. The second thing that I can conclude now is that these drops should not be spherical. They should be somewhat melted or squashed on the surface. It doesn't look so realistic. To squash down these little water drops, I will use a melt deformer, which can be found here in the deformers menu. And if I select my water drop here in the object manager and hold Shift key while I'm selecting the deformer will be made a child of that water drop. This works throughout Cine4D, no matter what you select. So if you hold the Alt key, the thing you select here will become parent, and if you hold the Shift key, then it will become the child of the selected Actually, when I edit this multiform, I can really notice a problem. Let me just zoom a bit. You can see the orientation of the clones is simply wrong. And to fix that, I have to play with this transform tab. So let's try which of these axes is. I believe it should be pitch axis. Let's try. And yes, you can enter. Let's say minus 90 would be. Yes, that's it. They are oriented properly now. And I think it's time for another test render to see where we are at. So now you see those water drops appear much more realistic. They are squashed because of the gravity, and they're really looking really nice. Now it all depends what you're looking for. I will actually copy this cloner completely, disable this first one, and I will call this one smaller drops, and I want to create more of those drops. So let's change the scale of this to something like 0.2 maybe. Yes, something like this. And under cloner, under object, I will increase the count. Let's try with 2000. Let's see where we are at. Or even let's try 10,000. We are going crazy with numbers here, and this will appear as some sort of condensation. And let's try a test render now and see where we are at. I'll enable this cloner also. Now we have many water drops on the surface, and I'm really interested to see how this will come out. We'll just give it a few seconds to render. And this actually looks really nice. The only thing that I want to change here is on the new cloner, on the smaller drops, I want to change this seed number just to create a more random effect, something like this. And let's even try scaling that a little bit more now, something like 0.1, and see what we get. Maybe this is a bit too small. Let's try 0.15. Yeah, this could work. I will now enable my shadow here. I think it's time for the final render. Let's give it just a few seconds. And this is it. I'm pretty satisfied with this. Of course, you can always change the values in both cloners, in both sides of water drops. Even add a third cloner. Even create 3 different random effectors for each of these cloners, and play with the settings until you get the results you are really looking for. Hope you enjoyed this bonus lesson. There will be more to come, and just want to take this opportunity to invite you to suggest bonus lessons for Volume 2, and also to ask you all to comment with your impressions on C4D Cafe that is run by Nigel, so I can gather enough input just to make trainings even better. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next bonus lesson.